We're now ready to begin really editing in our Built by Life project. Here we're going to be playing and marking some clips in preparation for editing, and we'll be reviewing some of the techniques we learned in our tour of the source monitor back in Chapter 1, and we'll be expanding on some things as well. All right, so starting here in Chapter 3, we are going to be working in exercise files. I'm just going to twirl this down and go into Chapter 3, and we are in 3.1. And just a reminder, to work in this project, you'll need to have linked all your media. So if you're just jumping in now, make sure to watch and follow the instructions in the Using the Exercise Files video at the beginning of this course. All right, so I'm going to load this clip here, Vince working the land, and let's just review some of the ways that we know how to navigate through clips. One is the space bar, a play-stop toggle, so I'll press space bar to play.
But when you're on the land and you're farming, your life is full.
And spacebar again to stop. But again, I want to use JKL as much as possible. I'm going to zoom in on this area because that is the soundbite that I want. I'm going to press plus repeatedly so I can get a better look at this section one more time. And this time I'm going to go forward with L.
But when you're on the land and you're farming, your life is full.
And I press K to pause. All right, let's mark that section. I'm going to come to the beginning here. And I'm going to switch over to my audio waveform so that I can really look at the audio. And I'm going to play over the first part here.
But when you're on the land.
All right, so I don't want these filler words right here. I want to start right here where he starts to say the word when, okay? And so I'll mark an in by pressing I.
When you're on the land and you're farming, your life is full.
And I'll mark an out by pressing O. Now to play into out, again, on a Mac, that's Option K, and on a PC, that's Control Shift Spacebar.
When you're on the land and you're farming, your life is full.
All right, I think that's great. I'm going to go back over to looking at the video. And there are several ways that you can edit a clip into a sequence. So far, we've just learned drag and drop, and that's what I'm going to do here as well. All right, so I'm going to drag from the source monitor down to the timeline. And I want to immediately name this and put it in the right location. So I'm just going to call this Built by Life Rough Assembly and the date. All right. And I'll put it in my sequence bin up here in 3.1. All right. So we've got our first clip laid in. This is sort of the teaser before Vince introduces himself. Okay. So there's nothing left in this clip that I want. Instead, I'm going to load this clip here, Vince introduction, and I'm going to give this a listen. So I'll shuttle forward with L.
My name is Vince McIntyre.
And your age.
Okay, I want him to introduce himself as Vince McIntyre. So let's mark an in and an out around that. I'm going to go over to my audio waveform. And I'll zoom in a little bit so we can get to the very beginning of this.
My name is Vince McIntyre.
And I think I got it. I'm going to press Option K.
My name is Vince McIntyre.
All right, so he starts to sort of breathe here. Let's make sure to get the out point on the other side of that breath. So I'll just press my left arrow key a few times and mark an out. And I think I've got it. Option K.
My name is Vince McIntyre.
And I'll let it out one frame and mark an out there. And I'll bring that down. And I'm going to leave a little bit of space in between him talking about working the land and starting to introduce himself. Let's keep playing this clip and see what else we want to include.
I'm 67 years old.
And where were you born?
I was born in the west of Ireland.
What do you do now? You're a farmer, and what's your occupation now?
I'm a farmer, and I do woodworking, various, a jack of all trades.
All right, so I want a combination of those sound bites in there. Let's grab those. I'm going to go back over to my audio and let's find that moment.
I'm a farmer, and I do woodworking.
Okay, so I'm going to go to the beginning here, mark an in.
I'm a farmer.
And I don't want him to say I'm going to try to get to the very beginning of that word. So this is going to be a little bit tricky, but I'm going to go frame by frame. I'm going to press my right arrow key. I think that's where he starts to say I'm, so I'm going to mark an in.
I'm a farmer, and I do woodworking.
Okay, I'm just going to grab the first part of that and then the second part of that.
farmer and
I'm going to let him say but I'll cut that out. I'll go back over to my video and drag that in. And I'll play over this and see how it sounds.
my name is Vince McIntyre. I'm a farmer and
All right, and let's grab the part where he says he's a woodworker.
I do woodworking.
Okay, and I'll mark an in.
I do woodworking.
All right, and we'll bring that down. And I just want to finish by him saying he is a jack of all trades.
Various, a jack of all trades. A jack of all trades.
Let me just play that, Option K or Control Shift Spacebar on a PC.
A jack of all trades.
And I think I need to amend my out point. I'm just going to move it over slightly. And I'll Option K again.
A jack of all trades.
And I'll split the difference there. Okay. And we'll bring that down. All right. And let's see how that's sounding. I'm going to do the whole thing.
When you're on the land and you're farming, your life is full. My name is Vince McIntyre. I'm a farmer and I do woodworking. A jack of all trades.
All right. So you'll notice that there's lots of jump cuts. He's sort of jumping all over the place. But no worries. We're going to have B-roll. We're going to have footage of Vince working on the farm that cover up those jump cuts. All right, so as you can see, marking our shots and then editing those in to form the foundation of our sequence is really key in defining the moments that we want to include in our story. We just learned how to play and mark clips by watching and listening to our footage. But now let's add reading to the mix. And we do that with text-based editing as we edit with transcribed clips. So the first step in text-based editing is to transcribe your source footage. There are a few ways to do this. As we learned earlier, if you want to transcribe your footage when you create a project, you can do that via the import window. Down here, automatic transcription, if you check that, then you can transcribe your footage as it imports into the software. If you haven't done that, you can do it within your bin as well. I'm just going to go into my chapter 3 bin and my 3.2. If you right-click on the clip or clips that you want to transcribe inside the software, you can go to, right here it says retranscribe because it already has been transcribed. But if it hadn't yet, then this would simply say transcribe. Okay, so you can do it on import or you can do it in the software. So I'm going to load this. And I happen to already have my text panel up right here. If that's not displayed, you can go to Window and then make sure that text is displayed. And I actually like to have the text panel alongside the source monitor so I don't constantly need to switch back and forth. So I tend to put it in the middle, right in between the source monitor and the program monitor. You can place it wherever you like, but I tend to like it alongside of my footage. And playing it is as simple as using any of the play or navigation commands that we already know. I can press spacebar.
My name is Vince McIntyre.
And your age.
Or I can use JKL. I'll shuttle forward with L.
I'm 67 years old.
I'll pause with K, and I'll shuttle back with J. Also notice if I play it in the source monitor, it will follow along in the transcription window.
What do you do now? You're a farmer.
Now let's go over some tools in the transcription window. First, if there are any mistakes in the script, you can fix those. I'm going to come up to this command here, edit active text, and then I can come right in here and edit this. So I know that McIntyre is actually spelled without the A. And let's see, I'll also edit my speakers. I'm going to go ahead and click here and choose edit speaker name. And speaker 1 is Vince, so we'll assign that to Vince. And then speaker 2 is the interviewer. And you can see that those are changed accordingly. And I'm not going to show you every tool in here, but I do want to call out a few. First of all, if you want to make your text larger or smaller, here's the slider for that. There are a few things I want to call out in this menu. First of all, filler words. Filler words are simply sounds that people make in between words, things like and and these can be useful to show in the transcript if your aim is to remove them. So I'm going to check filler words and watch the transcript when I do. In this particular part of the interview, Vince has quite a few filler words. You can see that they're indicated as such in the transcript. Also, pauses are really useful. Right now, my minimum pause length is set to 3/4 of a second, and it's indicated by, these ellipses. I can lengthen the pauses or shorten them. And as I shorten the pauses, you can see a lot more ellipses appear within the transcript. I'm going to set that back to around 3/4 of a second, and I'll save. And I just want you to remember this because when we start editing clips in the timeline a little later in this chapter, we can use this to very quickly hone in on these moments that we might not want included in our program and then remove them all en masse. For now, I'll just show you that if you want to select your filler words and your pauses, you can do so via this filter here. So I'll filter on filler words, and you can see that they are all selected. Or I'll filter on pauses, and you can see that those are selected. All right, so remember that. We will come back to that. Another really great tool in the transcription window is this search field. It will allow you to quickly find any text that you like. So I'm going to type in the word camp. And here you can see that there are 2 instances. And this is a really short clip, but imagine that it's a 30-minute or a 60-minute clip. And I'm able to find exactly the keywords that I want, which is a wonderful tool in the editing process. All right, and just 2 more things. Make sure that this is chosen, automatically set in and out points, and I'll show you why in a moment. And also make sure this option is chosen, follow active monitor. All right, so we already worked with this clip in the previous video, so we're pretty familiar with it. I'm simply going to lay in the exact sound bites that I did last time, but this time we're going to use the transcription window. I'm simply going to highlight the text that I want to edit in, and when I do that, you can see that it automatically sets my in and out points because I have this option chosen. And now I can simply drag and drop into the timeline. As always, I'm going to name this right away, and I'm just going to call this Vince Sound bites, since we're just sort of practicing here, and I'll put it in my 3.2 bin. And you'll notice that with my timeline selected, the transcription window is only showing the text for what's loaded in the timeline. If I want to show the source clip again, I simply click on the source monitor. All right, I'm going to move down because the next thing I would like him to say is that he's a farmer, he does woodworking, and he's a jack of all trades. So I'm going to highlight I'm a farmer, and here's my in and out point. I can play into out with Option K or Control-Shift Spacebar.
I'm a farmer.
And I think we actually had him say and. So let's include that, including maybe the filler. And I'm going to play into out again.
I'm a farmer and
I think I'm actually going to stop there. So I'll mark an out. And let's drag that down. And we'll go back to the transcript. And we want to capture I do woodworking. Let's see if we've got it. Option K.
I do woodworking.
Okay, so too much of the filler was captured, so we'll adjust that in the source monitor.
I do woodworking.
Okay, so I'm sort of working back and forth between the transcription window and the source monitor there. And we'll drag that down. And we want to get, I'm a jack of all trades. Let's just play that.
A jack of all trades.
And I think I'll just highlight that and let's take a listen.
Jack of all trades.
I'm going to adjust my out point slightly, a few frames to the right, and we'll bring that down. Okay, so we largely use the transcription window by simply reading and selecting the text that we wanted. A few adjustments in the source monitor, and let's see how it sounds.
My name is Vince McIntyre. I'm a farmer and I do woodworking. Jack of all trades.
All right, there are a few rough moments as we move from edit to edit. Later on, we'll learn about trimming so that we can smooth those out. But in general, it was a very quick way to zero in on the exact moments that we wanted to edit into our sequence using text-based editing.